I was just standing over there holding the sign that said, "My kids," and I just started crying beginning because this company is so emotional for me. I am the proud mom of 7 children, 5 of whom are internationally adopted. And I started Isogenics in April of 2013. And as Kathy said, our income tanked as of 2008. But I have to tell the story of one of my children because I would not be here if it wasn't for my kids. In 2011, when our finances were at the lowest point, we were called to adopt a little boy who was HIV positive named Alec. He was 5.5 years old and living in a Ukrainian orphanage. He had been there his entire life. We felt like we needed to adopt him, but we knew that it was a stretch. It was a very uncomfortable time, bad timing. Everybody told us it was bad timing, and yet we just knew that one day was too long for a little boy to be without a family and to be just in bondage inside the same 4 walls his entire life. So with the help of our friends and family, we raised enough money to go. And when we got to Ukraine to adopt him, the judge asked me if there's anything I wanted to say, and I said, "Thank you so much for taking great care of my son in the orphanage." At that point, he approved the adoption, and then the social worker came to my facilitator and said, "I'm really happy that your client is so happy with the orphanage, but I need to tell you that I've seen children as healthy as him be dead within 6 months of being moved from this baby orphanage, which we were just about ready to transfer him to the adult internat, because that's where they send 5.5-year-old little boys who are HIV positive when they age out of a baby home." So we knew at that point that the timing, although people told us it was wrong for us because we didn't have the money, that extending ourselves to be the solution for one child during an uncomfortable time into an uncomfortable place for us was exactly the right time for him. And we came home. And we came home and our finances were worse. My husband was working 2 jobs, and it got to the point where we were eating food that had been donated to a woman who would get expired food from grocery stores, first offer them to food banks, and then she would give them to us. And that's what we were feeding our children for a couple of years. And we got so low, it was just so bad, but there was something that rose up inside of me, and I started to strive and look for the best food on the planet during this time that we were eating very, very poorly. Maybe it was a survival mechanism. But at that point, I became an expert on nutrition. One day, I was just on my knees crying and praying out to God because it was so bad. I felt like I was trapped and that there was no way out, like being at the bottom of a dumpster with no door. And I just said, "Dear God, scour the universe for an opportunity to take us out of this place. We need freedom. We were not created to live in the desert. We were created to live in the promised land. We were not created to live at the bottom. We were created to live at the top. And I will do anything to get out of the situation." And it was literally within 2 days that I found out about Isogenics. And it was sort of like in disbelief. At first we hesitated, but we remembered that prayer. And I asked my husband, and he said, "Let's go all in." Now, we had been people who had been collecting quarters in couch cushions and looking for money on old gift cards in our purses. And we found out there was $50 here, $100 there, $250 there. We weren't going to leave anything on the table. And so we just went for it, and we brought our friends with us who supported us in our adoption. Oh. And then 2 months later, Kathy called me on the phone, and she said, "You earned $10,000 in the executive pool." And then a month after that, I was standing in the back, and you stood on the stage just like you did today, and you said Isogenics is all about family. And that's when I felt like I could breathe again, because it is all about family. Isogenics took us in. And when I rank advanced to 4-star, I just have to tell one last little story. It was Alec's birthday. He was labeled invalid at birth, insignificant, about to be sent off to die. And at that point I realized, had we not adopted him, had we not extended ourselves to be the solution, to be the breakthrough for one person, we never would have found our own. We talk so much about the power of two, and I love it. But let's never forget about the power of one. One touch, one conversation, one contact can change your lives. There are 7,000 people now in my downline because we extended ourselves to one child, which we never would have found Isogenics had we not been looking for better nutrition for him. Isogenics is a solution-based company where one person can deliver a spark that ignites a million legacies. There are people today waiting in quiet desperation like I was for an opportunity like this who's never heard the name Isogenics. And we get to be the ones to deliver them that good news. So don't ever forget that if you really want to succeed in this business, that you will go to the ends of the earth to be relentless, to pursue the breakthrough for other people, because when you do that, you very well might be opening up the door for your own personal breakthrough.